Hi, everyone. I have my handsome husband on my podcast with me today. And I just have a couple questions for him. So, what made you realize entrepreneurship is right for you?
Um, well, I feel like most of my life I've kind of lived in the passenger seat. I've kind of been like the co-pilot, just kind of along for the ride. Everything I've done, not, I'm proud of everything I've accomplished. I've done, a lot of good things, but a lot of them have been because other people kind of pushed me to do them. It's good to have those people in your life pushing you towards good things, but it's also can kind of take away that feeling of it can take away that feeling of self-accomplishment. I chose to do this myself. I wanted, I made this decision. I knew this was something I wanted to do, and I did it. I saw it through. So I feel like for the first time, or one of the first times in my life, I'm taking control. I'm not doing what's expected of me. I feel like that's something that I've struggled with a lot too, is I feel like I've lived up to the potential that my parents replace parents with whatever authority figure you want, teachers, what other counselors, leaders. I've lived up to the potential that they think I can reach, and I've never strived for more because I never really knew there was more. I went through my whole life thinking, work hard, get good grades, go to a good school, get good grades in college, get a job through college, get a good job after college, work until you're 75, and then you can enjoy the last 3 months of your life. And I just went my whole life believing that that was the right way. And I got in the workforce and I saw how miserable these people are at 65, at 70, that are still working because they can't retire because they're doing exactly. So it just hit me like, why am I taking advice from people who aren't successful in my eyes? People who have to work their entire life, people who are still at a job they hate at 65, 70 years old because they can't retire, they don't have any money. Like, why would I take advice from them, and why would I listen to them? So I just kind of woke up. I realized it's time to take control and do something that I want to do, make a future that I want to live with you and with, with our dogs, with supporting causes that we are proud of, things that are important to us, things that matter to us, not working to live, but finding something that we can be passionate about and something that doesn't feel like work and can set us up to take care of not only ourselves and obviously you, but to leave a legacy behind for other people, to set something up for the future, for other causes. I know we're not really talking about kids, but setting things up for other, donations and charities and things that are important to us. So I think that's really my motivation for getting into this.
Thank you, Rob.
We're off to a good start.
Absolutely. So you had said that why are you following people that you don't feel are successful, or they don't have your definition of success? So what is your definition of success?
So I think my definition of success would be being able to live your life how you want to live it without having to ask permission. People that are stuck in their W-2 life, people have been there for 40 years and they're allowed 6 weeks of vacation. People have been there 50 years and they get 6 weeks of vacation a year. So that's, 46 weeks of the year that they're stuck working in a job they hate. So you're working the majority of a year so you can enjoy 6 weeks of your life per year, like without and having to ask to take a sick day, having to ask to everything, get up and use the bathroom. Like, you shouldn't have to. We're adults. You should be able to choose what you want to do, choose where you want to work, what you want to do, and do, I guess that would be my definition of success, is to be able to live the life that you want to live without asking permission.
So it sounds, what I'm hearing is your definition of success is freedom.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
That's a great definition. Who do you admire and why?
So right now, there are two people in my life that are making the biggest impact. The first one is Marlon Johnson, Mindset Marlon. Might be, if you don't know him, you should. And the other one is Daniel Quijano, Daniel the Q. So the two of them are people that I honestly, this time last year, I didn't even know who they were. But within a couple months of joining real estate, getting into real estate, finding out, learning who the successful people are, they're two people that kind of embody everything that I hope to be. They're passionate about what they're doing. They're kind of revolutionizing the way that their industry is done. Marlon is completely revolutionizing mindset. He has goals of being the next Tony Robbins, but I think he's still got that limited mindset because he's going to be the first Marlon Johnson. He's going to be as big, if not bigger, than Tony Robbins. I don't think it's going to be a comparison,
Mm-hmm.
But he's pouring everything he has into something he cares so much about, being mindset, and helping so many people to get out of whatever mindset they're stuck in. And it's just something that is completely, like, I have absolutely nothing but respect for that. And the same thing goes for Daniel. I mean, he is completely revolutionizing the way that sales is done. He's going to be, if he's not already, he's going to be the #1 closer in the world. He's changing that too. He doesn't like the term closer because he's changing it to, opener, because you're opening people up. You're not closing them. You're not winning against them. You're getting on the same side as them and winning together. So you're opening them up to work together. So just the fact that both of them are able to do something that they're so passionate about and create something that's going to completely change how everything is done. It's something that I hope to strive to one day. Hope to be kind of doing the same thing as them.
That's great. I know Mindset Marlon much more than I know DQ, but they're both just amazing human beings who just pour into everyone they meet. And
it's evident, like, once you get in the same room as them, it's evident that that's where you need to be. You need to surround yourself with people that force you to level up, and being in the room with them is absolutely causing me to level up. I don't have a choice.
I'd agree. You've grown so much since you started this journey. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in real estate and entrepreneurship?
I like this question a lot because I talk to a lot of new people coming in. I like to try to help people first. I like to try to help the people that are just getting into stuff, to kind of give them a head start on the things that I didn't really know when I first started. I spent a lot of months struggling to realize these things. But so when it comes down to real estate, and I guess probably entrepreneurship in general, I can't speak about everything, but there are about 4 useful things that everybody needs. You either need time, you need money, you need skills, or you need connections to somebody with those 3 things. If you have time, money, and skill, you can, there's nothing you can't do. So if you have time to commit to something, you can provide value to people. People ask that question all the time: how can I provide value? Essentially, those are the 3 things you need to provide some sort of value, right? If you have time, you can commit time to helping somebody. You can help grow their business. You can help, whatever they need, you have the time to commit to them. If you have money, I mean, starting a business, anybody who's tried to start a business knows that businesses are expensive. There's always going to be unforeseen expenses, and there's always going to be things that cost a lot of money. So if you have money, you can support them financially. If you have skills, and when I say skills, I'm talking about applied knowledge, because knowledge is helpful, but it's only really helpful if you apply the knowledge that you have. If you are like a walking encyclopedia, but you've never used any of that knowledge, it's not really going to do all that much good. So if you have the skills, you may not have a lot of time and you may not have a lot of money, but if you have the skills and the knowledge to get somebody to the next step on the ladder that they're trying to climb, if you know that their ladder is about to fall because you've been on that ladder before, and you can say, hey, before that ladder falls, jump over to the other ladder. That is incredibly valuable to somebody. And the last thing, and I think the most important thing, is connections. Right? Because when you're first starting out, at least for me, when I first started in real estate, I didn't know anything. I had no skills. I had no knowledge. I had no money. And I didn't really have a lot of time because I worked probably close to 80 hours a week at my W-2. So I had absolutely nothing. So I was sitting here running around trying to figure things out. And I kind of was swimming in circles for months. And I feel like a lot of people do that, is you just kind of swim around in circles. You start doing what you think you're supposed to do. And then you don't really get anywhere. You get frustrated. You quit. You say it's not for you. But I think that's the biggest disservice to most new people, because if you are brand new to something, there's no way you're going to know what it is you're good at. There's no way you're going to know what you provide. So the absolute best thing that you can do is I'm trying to find the best way to phrase this, but the absolute best thing you can do, you really have one job as a brand new person. It's to talk to as many people as you possibly can, and to be the best listener. I guess that's 2 jobs. Talk to as many people as you possibly can, and be the best listener you've ever been. The conversations you have are not about you. Don't let them be about you. Focus on the other person. Find out what they have, find out what they need, find out what their skills are, find out what they're looking for, what they need for their business, and keep notes. Stay organized. Keep track of everything that they're doing, of everything that they say, pretty much. Organize it and keep track of it, so that when you move on to the next person, which is your job, your job is to talk to as many people as possible. Talk to the next person and the next person and the next person, do the same things, and then look back at your notes and say, hey, this person's looking for money, this person's looking to lend money. Connect the 2 people. If you don't have the money, but you can find somebody that does have money, you're just as valuable as that person that has money. If you don't have time, but if you know somebody that does have time, you're just as valuable, because without them, there are two people looking for help that don't know where to go. So that third party, that connector role, is completely essential, and people tend to very much undervalue the value that I don't like the way I phrased that, but people really tend to undervalue the connector role because it's essential. I mean, it doesn't seem like you're doing a lot, but you're saving everybody so much time from having to find it themselves. You're essentially a problem solver, and you're being paid for, you're being compensated and you're being recognized for the ability to problem solve. If somebody is in the position in their business where they have so much volume going on that they don't have time to look for a private money, the best thing you can do is to save them that time of having to go out and search themselves and to bring it yourself. And if you don't have it, that's okay. Find somebody that does. Same thing with the skills. If you find somebody that's excellent at closing and you find somebody who's looking for a closer, put them together and work something out. Save them the time of looking for and struggling. The amount of time and headache that you can save people is really where your value lies as a connector.
I like that. I like how you explain that, because it still, I'd heard a lot, but it doesn't always make sense to me until someone paints a picture that makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. And you were able to do that for me. And I wouldn't have done that if we didn't have this interview. So perfect. Let's see. What are 3 habits or personality traits you attribute to where you are today?
Okay, so I've been trying to whittle this down to 3, but I can't quite get there. I'm at 4 right now. So I'm going to give 4, if that's okay. I know I'm breaking the rules, but the very first thing I would say is to have clearly defined goals. It's not really a habit, but it's essential, because if you don't have somewhere to run towards, if you don't have directions, you're going to get lost. Right? If you try to take a road trip, if I'm in New Jersey right now, if I try to go to California, if I don't have directions, I know I need to go west, but I don't know the best way to get there. So I may end up there. I may end up in California, but if I don't have a roadmap of I guess let me backtrack a little bit. Sorry. So you need to have a clearly defined goal first, right? If I just get in the car and start driving without a destination in mind, who knows where I'm going to end up? I don't know where I'm going to end up because I don't have a plan for wherever I'm going. I'm just going to start going in one direction and hope it's the right direction. Now, to follow that up, once you have that clearly defined goal, like my goal is to get to California, now after that, you need to come up with a plan to do it. Once you have the destination, you can backtrack. You can break it down step by step on exactly the route you should take to get there, because other people have been there before, right? Anything that you're trying to do has most likely been done before, or at least something similar has been done. So people have the roadmap for you. There's no need to reinvent that roadmap, right? Borrow other people's ideas, learn from what they've done, learn from the mistakes they've made and the successes they've had, and use that to make your path the most efficient path. There's no need for you to struggle. So clearly define your goals, find out where it is you want to go, and then break it down into bite-sized pieces of the next actionable step you can take. That was very long-winded, but that's the first. That's the first step.
That is very thorough.
The next one is communication. Communication is essential no matter where you go. No matter what you do, no matter what you're doing, where you're going, what you want to do in life, where you want to be, you have to be able to communicate it. And I would say communication is the reason I'm exactly where I am today, or my lack of communication skill is exactly why I am where I am. I've never had the ability to articulate my thoughts very well. I'm working on it, I'm developing it, and I feel like I'm starting to improve, but I've never been able to clearly articulate things very well. So it's great to have goals, and it's great to have, it's essential to have goals. It's essential to have a roadmap of where you're going, but people can't help you unless you can tell them what you need help with. There's a good chance that people can recognize it. If somebody has been down the exact path that you've been down, there's a good chance they'll recognize where you are. But if you're looking for help and you can't tell people what you need help with, then you're going to run into problems. It's going to be very difficult to actually get the help that you're looking for. You're going to go through a lot more people than if you could say, hey, this is what I'm looking, because it comes back to that connector again. If you can't tell that connector, this is where I am and this is where I'm getting stuck, they don't know what to go out and to look for. So being able to communicate what you're doing, where you're going, what your vision is essential to others, but also essential to you. Because if you can't clearly define what your vision is and where you're going, if you can't clearly communicate to yourself where your destination is, how are you going to get there? Right? If you just have a goal of I know I want to be successful. Well, what does that mean? I want to make $1 million. What are you going to do with that $1 million? What do you want that for? Dig deeper, find out why you're doing this. And it has to be more than surface level, right? You can't you can just want to make money and make money. You know, it can happen. Is it? But it's going to be a lot harder when things get tough to continue if your only motivation is money. You have to dig a little bit deeper to find out what you're really looking for, and then be able to communicate that to yourself and to others. Okay, so that was my second one. Third one is follow-up. You need to be consistent, and you need to follow up with everything you're doing. Follow-up is essential. And I'm not talking just in terms of sales. I'm not talking in terms of you know, money-making activities. I'm talking about everything, like relationship building. I don't know, I'm struggling to think of more examples, but pretty much everything that you do, follow-up is essential. So for instance, you know, when I first started as an underwriter, I started in March of this year, 2023, as an underwriter. It was at Daniel Quijano's boot camp. That boot camp, it pretty much was like a life-changing event for me. I mean, that was like my turning point in my real estate, in my life. And he, you know, mentioned to me that he was looking for an underwriter, as, you know, I was declaring that I was an underwriter. So it seemed like a perfect fit, right? I didn't start working with DQ, with Daniel Quijano, until August. So it took about 5 months of follow-up. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anything like, you know, we were definitely a good fit for each other. It was just the timing. You know, things weren't quite lining up. Things were getting in the way. And that's what happens is, if I just talked to him in March and then I didn't say one word to him again, and that, you know, now we get to the point in August when he's ready and looking for building out his team, he's probably going to forget me by that point. Mm-hmm. If I, you know, but I was consistent I didn't have it on a schedule, but I would make a point to stop in the nightly dials to check up on him, you know, just make sure that he is reminded of who I am and that I'm still here and that I'm still active and that I'm still very interested in working with him. So following up with whoever you want to work with, following up with your, you know, your lenders is essential too. I mean, there's been a huge, you know, negative, there's been a lot of negative press with private money lenders lately, of people not being paid back, of people like lying to them, ghosting them, not communicating properly. It comes back to that follow-up. Even if you don't have news, it's better for them to hear that you don't have news than for them to wonder, because people start assuming, in most cases, people start assuming the worst if they don't hear from you. So especially if you're, you know, if you're borrowing money from people, or if you're working on a team with anybody, follow up with them. Even if you have nothing to say, just say, hey, look, this is where I am. This is what's been going on. I really don't have any updates, but, you know, this is what I'm looking for. I 9 times out of 10, they're going to appreciate that follow-up. Even if it's good news, if it's bad news, if it's no news, it's follow-up is essential, whatever you do.